Gary Webb and the King, Chapter 2. Well, let's not be totally unfair to Walter Pincus. Let's look at Walter Pincus and men like him and what they believe. These men and women believe that America is a force for good in the world and that the net good that America does outweighs the bad that America does. They're willing to overlook the millions of people that were killed in Vietnam, the Middle East, Indonesia, Gaza, and the rest of the world at the hands of American weapons. They're willing to overlook the tens of thousands of people who've been killed in Central America. They're willing to overlook the subjugation and exploitation of people in Central America, Haiti, Southeast Asia, and Africa. Now, they're willing to overlook that because they believe that if we are not in power, communists will arise, and those communists will produce a virulent, dysphoric regime that is far worse. Now, there's a lot of truth in that. But they also neglect to mention that we create these communists by virtue of our exploitation. Communism arose as a response to unbridled capitalism. Fidel Castro arose as a response to Fulgencio Batista. Daniel Ortega arose as a response to Antonio Somoza. The American people are largely shielded from the crimes of these thugs that America hires and employs in its various satrapies. Because the American people are largely shielded from this, the elites of America and their lackey politicians do not receive sufficient criticism. They thus become fantastically rich through unbridled exploitation, and they begin to believe that they can do whatever they want. A feeling of omnipotence sets in as the wealthy elite grow ever distant from us in terms of money and social status. Legal impunity becomes a part of who they are. And it's only a matter of time before they then decide to bully the people of the United States. A bully is a bully. After all, they control the media and they can get away with it. So they choose not to see the people they're hurting. They choose not to see people lining up at food banks. They choose not to see the homelessness. They fully shut their eyes to these problems. Now, sometimes, though, the issue grows too large for them to ignore when people complain too loudly. And so they effect a cosmetic change, which does not fix the problem because underlying causes are not addressed. For example, the state of California a few years ago moved the homeless out of Venice Beach so that they could prove to themselves that they had done something to fix homelessness. Yet the real problems causing homelessness, such as lack of well-paying jobs through a decreased manufacturing base, destabilization of the family unit through the normalization of violence, and increased availability of drugs through importation, went unaddressed. As such, the homeless were merely transported to some other community until the coast was clear. And most likely they'll be back. Now, the whole point of leadership is to make for a better country. The whole point of leadership is to make the citizens better than they were before. Now, our leaders have lost sight of that concept. They choose not to see that they're making things worse. They believe that they are saving democracy and ourselves by going all over the world and defeating communism. Now, of course, it's all about money for them. And they make money through exploitation, and they make money by fighting the communism that exploitation produces. So they will support the Contras by importing drugs into the United States. They will destroy the United States in order to fight communism around the world so as to presumably save the United States from defeat by communism. Now, this was the same mentality that was used in Vietnam, where our leaders came to believe that we must destroy a village in order to save it. Now, that is why Walter Pincus exists and why he is so dangerous. He was given the dog biscuits of empire in order to sell you the king's message. And the problem is that the king is rotten to the core. The king is corrupt.